Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to your Photoshop challenge. My name is Wade Acuff and I'll be your host for the next couple of weeks. As we work through these challenges in the next couple of weeks, you might want to be a member of our Discord. You can find a link below in the description. Let's see, what else? What's up, chat? I see a bunch of familiar faces here. Yeah, make sure you join the Discord. It's just a great resource overall. If there's sound levels or anything I need to check, let me know, chat. I know you will. What's up, Tim? What's up, Jennifer? Jack? Sam? How's it going? Did I say hi to Sam already? There's also you're also gonna see in the description a link to resource files, and sometimes there will be assets in those resources. Sometimes there will not. Today there is not, but we're gonna do some things. So just hang with me here. Here we go. So today, and I'll just read the prompt, just so we're all on the same page. We're gonna tackle Tangled type today. Create a typographic design using the Intertwine feature in Illustrator to speed up your workflow in Photoshop. Now, just hang on, everybody. Wait, nobody leave. This is not an Illustrator challenge wrapped in a Photoshop challenge shell. I'm going to show you everything to make this type of typography, type design in Photoshop. Then we're going to show you how to do it using some of the tools in Illustrator. So let's get started on that. So first, we're going to start with a new file, new. And if you come over into new documents, you will see options. And we're going to head over to print. We're going to just do standard letter. But we're going to flip it on its side for a landscape view. Click create. Illustrator, I'm out of here. Now I hear you. Just hang tight, everybody. I promise it's going to be fine. Press T on the keyboard for your type tool. And if you've never used the type tool, if you drag, you will get a text block. That's not what we're looking for. So, and also you can hit escape to get out of that, because sometimes that's a little confusing. But just click on the canvas, and I'm already in the font that I want. VictorScript that you can get at fonts.adobe.com. But I do want to make sure that you know about these filters. If I have selected this VictorScript as a favorite, so if I use my star filter, my favorite filter, it will show up, and there it is. I'm going to type ribbon exclamation point, and I like to kind of keep things centered, so I make sure that's centered. But then also I'm going to use, let's see, nope. All right, here we go. I am also just going to put it in the center of the canvas, and to do that, just make sure your layer is selected. Make sure your alignment tools. I'm in the move tool, by the way, and if you select canvas, it'll give you these options to center this. Not a big deal if you're not. It's just I like to try and keep things kind of clean. All right, so for the next, our next little asset we need to bring in here is the ribbon. Let's see if I can get to this. I have to change my screen resolution sometimes, and it kind of throws things off. Okay, here we go. I'm going to drag this ribbon in. This, I believe, is also from stock.adobe.com, and I can give you guys the stock image ID in the Discord if you guys want it. But we have to do a couple of things to this. I want to size this down a little bit. Right now, you'll notice that it is a smart object. You can tell by seeing the little cloud in the preview over here. And that's fine for this. I just want to make a copy, because I do need to rasterize this, because I want to transform it and I want to remove the background. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, rasterize layer. You can also do that from your layer menu if you'd like. And then I'm going to press W for the select object tool, and you can come in here and get some other options. I just want the object selection tool. Click on it. It will select it for me. I am going to hit Control or Command Shift I to invert that selection, and then press delete. And now we don't have a background for our ribbon. We're not done yet. this ribbon is a little bland. I'm going to turn our other one off. I want to do a couple things. One, I want to bring our rulers in, which I just hid. If you press Control or Command R, you can bring your rulers down so that I can drag a guide out. The ribbon is a little not straight, so I'm just going to straighten it a little bit. Going into the transform tools with Control or Command T, I can select that. And if you drag out, but if you bring your cursor out, you'll see that it's letting you rotate. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit, just straighten it out a little bit. And I want to you know what? I'm going to press Enter so that accepts. And then I'm going to go back into it, Control T. And then I'm going to make this a skinny version. And if you hold down Alt, it will bring in the other side. It will basically shrink I don't know how to shrink is probably the wrong word. It will collapse the transform tool to the center as opposed to just that side. But make sure that up here, this is not, your height and your width is not linked. Otherwise, it will just try and scale everything. So just make sure that's off. I'm going to make this pretty thin. Press Enter to accept it. We're not done yet. Yeah, we're just getting started. Well, it's 6 minutes in. I hope you're just getting started. All right, let's see. Okay, so it is a little bland still. It's just a ribbon going through here. I want to give it some curves and make it look like it's kind of waving and flowing behind our type. And I want to hide our guide. If you just press Control H, it will hide all the extras. You can also do that in, is that View? Yeah, Extras, Show and Hide. You can see it says Control H right there. That's the hotkey I just used. Hit it again. You can also hide your rulers if that bothers you. It's just a thing. Some people like to work with them so they can easily grab guides out. I don't care one way or the other. But I want to go into Filter and liquify this ribbon. And let's see. So it may pop in if you go into Liquify. It may show up first without a backdrop. And you can actually come in here and show layers or show all layers. You can select the individual layers if you'd like. For this, we're just leaving this on. And basically, I'm only using the one forward warp tool just to kind of push this ribbon around. But I like to have the backdrop on so you can see what you're doing by pushing and pulling this. I think my graphics card has a little bit of an issue as well because it's not supposed to show a gap there. Worked fine earlier. Now I'm getting this weird gap that's happening. I don't know. We're going to roll with it. I just want to push this down a little bit. I mean, what other option do we have? We have to roll with it. I don't think we have time for me to go grab a new graphics card and install it. But we'll save that for next time. Okay, I think this will work for us. Click OK, and we'll see our ribbon be all warped and liquefied. And I think this will work. I'm going to show you guys how to do cut this out so that, well, what we're about to do is take this ribbon type. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to rasterize it, and then we're going to chop it up. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to rasterize this type. And then from there, I want to make sure I'm on the type layer, pressing L for our lasso tool. Is it all right? Lasso. There we go. And then from there, if you start selecting the areas of the type you want to bring forward. And then with the shortcut, Control or Command Shift J, you will slice and make a little slice of your type. So I'm just turning this on and off. This is that little loop on the R. And then when you take this and drag it above your ribbon, look at that. We're already starting. But the thing with this, you have to go back, make sure you're selected on your rasterized type layer, come back around, Control Shift J, again, drag this up. And again, Like, did you notice something I didn't do? I didn't select the layer, so I have to make sure I'm back on my layer. Control Shift J, bam. There we go. So it's a little tedious in the just process of grabbing and selecting. Control Shift J, bringing this up. Let's see. Yeah, that's right, Oliver. Not yet. We're not there yet, but it's close. And so yeah, you would just come through this and press Control Shift J again, bring it up. And I do want to say you can do this all in one layer. You could come in here and grab the section you want to drop behind, and then press Shift with your lasso tool and grab multiple sections. Do the same shortcut, Control or Command Shift J, and then bring that up, and then we have that kind of interlaced ribbon. And you can see the last two are, you know, that last portion of our ribbon. So you could do this all in one layer. Breaking it up in multiple layers, it might give you a little bit more control. And then from here, you could just take this ribbon, make a selection by pressing Control or Command and hovering over your layer and clicking. It will make a selection. Then you could make a new layer, and I will call this Shadows. And I will hide the selection, Control H. You could make a mask for this if you wanted to. It's already, I'm using that selection as a mask. So then I could just come in here and just make shadows for this. And I'm doing this real quick. You can take all the care, you know, for the amount of time you have. You can really get extravagance. You could add highlights as well if you'd like. So that's the way to do this. One way to do this. There are multiple ways to do this in Photoshop. I'm going to combine all of this into a group. Call this PS ribbon. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Because I just want to take us back to where we started. In fact, I'm going to actually pull this down. Turn that off. So now we're back to square one. So that is one way to do this in Photoshop. Now we're going to make a layer mask in Illustrator. Well, we're going to make the image for the layer mask in Illustrator, then bring it back into Photoshop and use it as a layer mask. Just hang tight with me. A couple of things we have to do first. Pop into Illustrator. Yes, if you're just joining in, this is not an Illustrator challenge. We're going to cover a few tools in Illustrator, but not a lot. I'm just showing you the basics of how this works so that you might want to use it on one of your projects. I'm going to go into File, New, and want to go over to Print. Select our letter, but make sure that it is landscape. Then the other thing I want to make sure to do, this is fairly important. It's not important because you can work both ways. In Photoshop, I'm working in RGB. In that color mode, if I brought in a CMYK image from Illustrator, I would get several prompts saying, hey, you're not in the same color mode. We're going to do some things to make it work for you. If you go ahead and shift this over to RGB, it's going to save you a little bit of those prompts. You'll still get a few when you want to make the vector masks later on. You'll see that, but it'll save you from the RGB to CMYK color prompt. I'm going to click Create, and we have created our first Illustrator file, our artboard here in Illustrator. Just like in Photoshop, we're going to press T for the type tool. There we go. It lagged on me, so I was like, wait a minute, hold on. All right, so the same thing, if you drag, you're going to get a text block. We're not looking for that. We just want to tap onto the artboard. And if you go to Window, this time it's in Type Character. In Photoshop, it's just labeled as Character, but I already have it open over here. And just like in Photoshop, I have filters. I'm going to go Show Favorites and select Victor Script. Now this is very important because we're going to be using this script to line, or this font to line up manually with the font in Photoshop. So you want the fonts to be the exact same size. So I'll make sure to make this 150. Enter. Over in paragraph, I'm just going to center it, but then I'm also going to align it. This is just for my own sanity more than anything else. Let's get out of here. I'm going to line this up and double click to edit, select all of it, and type ribbon, exclamation point. Okay, so we have our ribbon. I'm just going to make sure this is lined up again. Okay, good, good, good. Two tools that I want you to be aware of is V, the move tool, or the direct selection tool, and A. These are the this is the direct selection tool, but these are the ones you might need in Illustrator to be familiar with, because you'll have to use the object selection to select both the path we're about to make and the font. So let's bob back into Illustrator, because we have, into Photoshop, and we're going to use the Liquify version of our ribbon. I'm just going to select this like we did earlier when we made the shadows. I'm going to select this with Control or Command and hover over and click to create a selection from our ribbon. And then if you go to Window, Paths, and it's usually stacked in with layers. If you have your if you have it set up that way, it's usually kind of hidden in with the layers. And you come down here to this button that makes a working path. That's what we're going to copy over into Illustrator. But you can make it, but then you have to select it. Oh, just saw a thing. This little bit over here, I don't want that. I'm going to make sure that I don't have that. That was something left over from when we deleted the background. I was not super careful. So you can see it if I turn this off. There's a little bit of a sliver here. I'm just going to delete it. Turn that back on. Okay. Now, where will we select this again? Control or Command, click. I'm going to trash this working path. Yes. Make a new one. And now we don't have that little extra over here. I'm going to Control or Command C to copy this. And then I'm going to drop this into Illustrator with Control V. It's going to ask me if I want a compound shape. Yes. So now this gets a little tricky. The first thing I'm going to do in the properties, I'm going to make sure there's a color on this. Otherwise, it will look like it doesn't exist when I click off of it. The next thing I'm going to do is change the transparency down just slightly so I can kind of see what we're doing before working with the Intertwine tool, which is what we're about to do. But I also want to kind of line this up to where it was in Photoshop. And I'm kind of just doing this visually. It's not the cleanest way to do this, but I'm just kind of looking at what we have. Let's see. And the thing is, I can get close, and that should be fine. Because the ribbon is separate, we'll have a guide to match it up in Photoshop. So from there, I want to go and select both of them. Go to Object and use the Intertwine Make. And look, it's like a little lasso tool, just like in Photoshop. So now we just select the areas we want to come above the ribbon. And it's almost the exact same process once you get to the Intertwine tool. It's just doing it for you. There's no making a separate layer for each section. It's just letting you select it and then move along. It's actually making paths, compound paths for you in Illustrator. But we're not done with this. This is just the start, because now we want to make the image to use as a mask. So I'm going to go back to the opacity, set this all the way up, change the fill to white, hit V for the object selection, grab both of them, Control C, hop back into Photoshop, make sure we're on a separate layer. I don't want that working path selected anymore. And then when I copy and paste this, I'm going to Control or Command V. It's going to ask me to bring in layers. I'm going to say yes. It's going to prompt me for vector mask, yes. And the next prompt would be the CMYK color change. This is saying continue pasting. Some things will be rasterized. That's fine. And it's going to bring everything in as a group. So, let's see. So now comes the little lining up of the assets of the images. And I just do this by getting as close as I can one way. Let's see. And then nudging using the arrow keys. I nudge it until the up and down. It's very hard to see it. Maybe we can get in here. If I'm pressing up, you see the movement. If I press down, there's very little movement. That means we're close. And the same thing right there. That is where we're locked on, about as close as we're gonna get. And you can see how far off the ribbon is. And all you have to do to adjust that is the same sort of thing. I'm gonna slide this in as close as I can get it. And then I'm just gonna nudge it. And because it's a path, it's not, because it made it a working path, it's not the exact image. You are gonna see little edges. And there are ways to either paint those out or make some selections to grow the selection and hide those. But first we wanna make sure that we're getting rid of some of these little cuts. This is these are the selections we made in Illustrator. A way to do that is to just make copies of this until they disappear. Control E to merge that down, and now we have an image we can use as our mask. Let's see. Let me hide some of this stuff because it's going to confuse me. I'm going to drag that down there. All we need is this. Oh, did I not grab all of that? Oh, maybe I didn't grab all of them. Okay, here we go. I'm just selecting all of these again. These are all of the groups and merge those down. There we go. All right, that's what I was trying to do. Now from there, turn everything else off because we're going to use the black and white image to make the mask by going into select, color range. And then I just make sure that my fuzziness is all the way up because it's just getting all the anti-alias fuzziness that you can. Click OK. And then from there, I'm going to select our ribbon layer, hide that group. And with the selection, come down here to make a layer mask. You just click it and it makes a layer mask. If we turn our ribbon copy underneath on, you will see that we've got a little bit, we've got our little interlacing, intertwined even ribbon that's kind of happening here. We do have some issues here. This might be, if you unclick this link between your masks and select the mask, you can nudge this around and you might be able to solve some of those issues that way or make them worse. It just depends. Another thing you can do is paint that out if you would like by just selecting your ribbon. Let's see, maybe selecting your, there we go, select, holding Control or Command and selecting your type, and then coming back up to your mask and switching this to conceal. Black conceals, white reveals. Oh yeah, select the inverse. Oh, wrong one. Why is it painting white? Don't do this to me, Photoshop. Don't do this. All right, hold on just a minute. Not sure why. Brush. Okay. Oh, because I'm painting the wrong, yes, it should be white. Yeah, it should be reveal. There we go. Okay, that's on me. Control Shift I, and then you can paint in this little gap as much as you want. You can get rid of it that way. Then you can commence to making this work for you. So we want to make this a little bit more fancy. Let's make some shadows for it. Let's see, make a new selection with that ribbon, make a new layer. This has to be on top. And then I'm just going to hide this selection again, paint with black. And you could change this to an overlay layer of multiply if you don't want it to be just black. In fact, we'll do that. We can change this to a deep red, maybe. Deeper than that. Just so that we keep some color in the shadow. And come along here, do the things. And then if you wanted to change the color of the font, you could, of course, just change the color here. Which, look at this. Oh no, we have a shadow here. That's fine. I'm going to bring this up top. I'm going to select this, our mask again. And then if you hold Alt, it will change, it will make the inverse of that mask. And now I can bring this below it, and then we have our shadow. And you can also do things like add layer styles to this. Really go crazy. I want to see what you guys come up with. I hope you have fun with it. I hope this was at least entertaining to see Illustrator in Photoshop Challenge. But be sure and join the Discord. I'll be giving feedback for the next couple of weeks. And have a good day, and we'll see everybody real soon. Bye, everybody.